Today, though, I'm going to cover a lot, but I'm also going to need to back up and actually do a little review because we have so many new people watching and listening from all over the world. Obviously, I have a problem here. What is on my face?
There you go.
All right. Goodness, what is happening to me? All I did was walk around in the back. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, now let me ask real quick because we're trying something new this morning. So do I just start with this? Just push the button when I'm ready to go? All right. So anyway, what we have entitled it this morning. Oh, well, no, you got that one up. All right. Is government documents admit flat earth? Now, I had to leave a lot out this morning. So I understand that this is just the tip of the iceberg. But just so everyone knows, those watching, listening, just so everyone knows, I've spent a lot of time digging into this, reading the actual documents, going to the actual CIA website, the Army website, the Navy website, the U.S. Air Force, many NASA documents, Russian documents from Russia that we stole from them during the Cold War. Amazing things that I'm discovering here. But anyway, we're going to get into this. I'm going to show you this morning. I took screenshots of these things. There, I will later on have to provide links for people. But anyway, let's get into this. First thing I want to do is I want to read Romans chapter 1, verses 16 through 22 here, because this is to this subject of flat earth, or as we should call it, biblical cosmology, true biblical creation, the nature of true creation. I like what Nathan calls it, the doctrine of flat earth, because it is biblical from cover to cover. And I've made that clear in numerous messages over the last few years. But let's read this again and understand the context. And let's understand the context this morning of when the Apostle Paul is saying, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. Let's understand the context of that. Because we got a lot of Christians out there that are beginning to see the truth of creation and beginning to see that the earth really is flat. It really is covered by a dome. There is a really up and a down, just like God said. And I'm going to prove to you, I guarantee this, in the next couple of weeks, I will prove to you that the scientists and the governments of the world have known these truths for a long time. But here, let's read the scriptures here. This is Romans 1, 16 through 22. Paul writes, he says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. For therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Now I'm going to pause there because the word hold in the Greek means to hold down or suppress. That's what it means. You can look it up in your Greek lexicons. So he says that the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold or suppress the truth in unrighteousness. Now what he's talking about suppressing truth. And then what's the very next verse that he says here? The very next verse, he says, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them. For God hath showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Now, think about that for a minute. He says there will be men who suppress the truth, and then he starts talking about these men who suppress the truth, and he says God has showed it to them. They have seen the truth of what? Creation. But they are suppressing it. This is your Bible. This is Romans 1. One of the most celebrated books of the New Testament. Starts off, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. There are going to be evil men who suppress the truth of creation. And God's going to show it to them. We don't have the means to see how high the dome is. We don't have the means to explore to Antarctica. We don't have the means to do all these things, but they do. And they know certain truths, and they've suppressed them. But guess what? Jesus said something that's really important. He said, right here, this is Luke 12, 2 and 3. Jesus made a prophecy here. Pretty simple one. He said, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever you have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which you have spoken in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. Right. Oh, all that makes sense. And next week, that's really going to make sense when we get into Werner von Braun's tombstone, which is here in Alabama, by the way. Anyway, Jesus said everything will be revealed. Well, guess what? Most of us that know our Bibles believe that we are living in the last days, right? We're getting very near the Great Tribulation. We're getting very near the second coming of Jesus and all the things that are going to unfold with the world government and the New World Order and the mark of the beast and the Antichrist and the 10 kings, and all those things are right here upon us. So if there's any hidden things left, according to Jesus, they got to start being revealed. Well, I think God is making these entities who follow Satan, like the Illuminati and the high-level Freemasons and all these, I believe God has made it upon them where they have to reveal these truths. Hence, in America, the Freedom of Information Act. It's a wonderful thing. Problem is, there's a lot of information. A lot of information. Yeah, and still a lot of it's redacted. Yes, you'll see that this morning too. Meaning it's blacked out, whited out, different parts. You have to ask the question. In one part, he was talking about the Earth's atmosphere, and then there was a part blacked out. Why would that be blacked out? Still, right? Under the Freedom of Information Act. But anyway, I want to address first, as we get into this morning, before we get into the actual government documents, there are Christian pastors and creation ministries right now losing their minds. This crazy guy right here, I don't even know what I'd call him. Mr. Anderson. Wasn't he the bad guy in the Matrix?
I don't know, but I try helping them lose their mind as much as I can.
And poor Ken Hovind. I mean, these are just screenshots straight from YouTube videos that they've done. Of course, there's one of my good buddy and friend, Dr. Danny Faulkner at Answer in Genesis. He's they're flat earth Bible passage, just metaphors, refraction. That's all he does. Believe me, because he said it to my face one day. Yeah. Of course, Charles Lawson, he's lost it. But it's getting pretty vicious. I'm getting some vicious emails. I know Nathan, from what I've heard, gets pretty vicious stuff. Of course, he's been booted off of Facebook. Over what? If we're nuts, if there's no truth to any of this, why all the anger? Why all of the attacks? Well, let me tell you, this thing is growing. The truth that people are discovering now, the true nature of creation, that the earth is indeed flat, that it is indeed covered by a molten glass dome, that heaven is just above that dome, and that hell is beneath. There is a hell. There is an up and down in God's word. Clearly, that's one of the most simple things. There is an up and down.
So simple.
God's not confused, right? There's an up and down, right? But I know these people are losing their minds, and I listen to this crazy guy, and I listen to these people. I've listened to these videos, and their arguments. A lot of them are just straw man arguments. A lot of them are the same old, worn out. The ships go over the curve, and all that's already been proven to be false with telescopes and high zoom cameras and everything else. And
they lure you in with a good preaching though. Like this guy on the bottom here, he does a really good preacher against pre-tribulation rapture, but then he flat earth the stupid.
Yeah. Well,
He said it was a sin in his last message.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But here we go. Let me just share this real quick because I'm just putting this up. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I was sharing earlier before we went live. This is an email from the brother in the UK, just so you understand. I'm not making this stuff up. That's why I put these things up. I took his name out because I don't know that he wants to be public just yet. But this guy was in the Royal Navy for 12 years. He's an engineer. He talks about that. He talks about being an alcoholic for years, that he's only been clean and free from alcoholism for the last 18 months. He says that religion to him was all evil, that Christianity, he believed all churches were evil, that he didn't believe in any religion, and that he said he didn't completely dismiss the possibility of God, but so he would have called himself an agnostic, but he just had no use for the Bible, no use for Christianity, the church, anything. So he starts researching some things, as many of us did, and stumbles across flat earth, thinks it's ridiculous, but then begins to see the evidence. Now this guy, Royal Navy, 12 years, engineer. The people that contact me too, they're not dummies. I have PhDs and engineers, geometry teachers. You think they might be able to figure out the shape of something, right? But this guy right here says now, he said he came across the flat earth thing, thought it was ridiculous, began to look in it, saw the evidence. Then he stumbled across the video of where I'm preaching about. It's been in the Bible all along. And now he says, right here, you can see it. He says, presently, I now firmly believe and very happy about the fact the Bible is 100% true and that we are created. He said, after hearing your sermon on flat earth, live broadcast on YouTube the other night, my belief has been set in concrete. And now my study of the Bible has begun. An agnostic, an alcoholic, an engineer. Don't tell me. I mean, we got some of the Christians now saying, I had an email this week from a Christian saying that the flat earth saying